Hello, how are you guys doing today? I wanted to be the first one to say welcome back to another episode of Forecasting Success. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Brannan. Before I introduce our guest today, I just want to thank once again our title sponsor, ARAWC, for allowing this podcast to really happen and bring a lot of the relevant information to you. So thank you, ARAWC. And also to Michael, our fearless president, thank you for joining me last night at the Texas Conservative Coalition Black Tie and Boots Gala. I thought it was a great event, and your presence there was greatly appreciated by many of the members and staff of the legislature. And I hope you enjoyed the little peek behind the curtain on how we do business at Austin when the circus is in town. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you all someone who I think many of you already know. She was a speaker at our conference last year. And she's been a former aide to me and just an all-around amazing person. I can't wait to catch up with her and see what's been going on since then. But Laura, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Thank you so much. It's always good to be with you and appreciate the invite. And hello to a lot of the ARAWC folks who I've had the pleasure of meeting with and working with when I worked with Ryan. So for those who don't know me, I'm Laura Carr, and I'm the co-founder of USLege. We are an AI-first legislative tracking software, and really a lot of the ideas came to me when I was working with Ryan and in the Capitol. So all my background is in politics prior to the startup world, and I started my career on political campaigns, worked up in DC on Capitol Hill, was in the House and Senate there, worked at the US Chamber of Commerce and did some corporate fundraising, and then went into political fundraising, kind of throw my hat in all the different political areas, and then moved to the great state of Texas in 2021 and left DC kind of just after the pandemic, and was very sick of fundraising on Zoom, and moved to Austin without a job, and actually talked to Ryan. He was a really good mentor to me because I got connected with him through some folks in DC, I think, from the White House connected me to Ryan, and they said, this is the guy you want to talk to in Texas politics. He knows everybody and he knows all the things. So he actually, helped encourage me to go work in the building, and I did just that. So worked for Governor Abbott 2 sessions back, and then had the pleasure of working with Ryan in the lobby world for about 1.5 years, and was very, very fun. Learned so much from him, and also learned so much just about our system that I thought could use a lot of improvement. I'm definitely like Ryan in a lot of ways. I do like people a lot, and I like to talk and debate and discuss and fix things. And so when I was working with him, there was a lot of research that has to be done to be able to get to that point. And I thought AI has a really good opportunity to optimize it. So worked in the legislature again this last session, and started this company kind of in stealth mode. But now we are, 11 months in, or at significant revenue milestones, growing the team, about 15 people on board now. And we just closed a venture capital round of funding. So we're about to scale a company nationwide. So it's a really exciting point in the company and the business, and just to be in Texas politics, but also now to go to other states and be going to the, national space for this type of work. So, yeah.
Well, that is exciting.
Yes.
I think last time you talked to our ARAWC folks, was that October, I believe it was?
Yeah.
And so you were still kind of in soft launch. You hadn't gone through a session yet with your legislative tool. We're about 2 months into a session, really about 6 weeks at this point. How's it going?
It's been great. It's been extremely busy, as I know for you as well. So anytime somebody's on the floor, someone's in committee, we're up, monitoring, watching, because our customers are up. So we have a really good team now that are boots on the ground. And like you said, this is our first session doing this through a live session. And so there's so many different pieces. And I do think Texas is the hardest state to do this in, because there's a technical component to this. We've got a big engineering team, but then there's also this nuance. Each state is so different, and Texas is its own country. It's a magical place. But it's been really fun to see how the boots on the ground people are getting the data too. There's a lot that the government surprisingly doesn't share, votes, sometimes vote counts, information like that.
Yeah.
So it's been good to kind of merge the tech and the boots on the ground people.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love the idea of you going to other states. It's something that ARAWC talks about all the time. Because as you know, the Texas system for what you do is very unique, but also for what these guys do, right?
Sure.
We're the only state that essentially you can have non-subscribers in the workers' comp system. So, so they're very familiar with the uniqueness of Texas in their regard, but also it's interesting that we're that way legislatively too.
Which other states are you involved in?
I am involved in Texas.
Sure.
We have member companies that are operating in multiple states. I think we've talked about looking at other states. In the past, there has been legislation that has moved through several other legislatures, including Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida. It actually passed in Oklahoma at one point. That was a long story about why that ultimately that law got overturned, but essentially the Oklahoma bill is different than what we have in Texas, so there was no way it was going to affect Texas, but it did kind of put a freeze on some of the legislation that was moving elsewhere. I don't want to say that we're actively doing anything, but I know that there is some interest in Florida from some of our members as that have bigger footprints there too. So Florida is uniquely Florida, just like Texas is uniquely Texas. And I'm sure as you're looking at other states and your expansion, you're seeing how your tech can work with how their systems operate. But I don't think there's anybody that's quite as crazy as we are, where we try to cram 2 years worth of stuff into 140 days. I think Florida's probably a little bit more low-key than that, but I don't know. You probably don't even want to say what states you're looking at.
Yes, I will not confirm or deny which ones just yet. We're still in the market research phase, right? We have probably a list of 12 that are definitely top of the list for next potential avenues, but anybody in any of those states you mentioned, absolutely would love to chat with them, including you and your partner. So anyone listening would love to chat with you, just market research on what problems you're finding. Essentially what we do is we automate a lot of workflows, and we're developing AI agents to solve your problems and get things done a lot more efficiently and easily inside and outside government. So
particularly for employer members of ARAWC that are operating in multiple states, give Laura a call. She would be very interested in talking with you. I know that I could tell you she's extremely capable, and if she puts her mind to something, it's going to happen. What she didn't mention before was that the plan of sending her into the building was so she could get that experience and then come back. But I guess she decided that it would be more lucrative to take all the jobs that I assigned her and get AI to do it, and then she could work for everybody, not just me. So really proud of her. Kind of a proud papa moment. Michael, you're the one that used that comment, so I don't feel bad saying it back. But anyway, I'll be remiss if I don't do one or two inside jokes between the two of us on this podcast. So if we laugh for some weird reason, that's what happened, and don't take it personally. For example, we are the same age. I don't know if if everybody knows that.
If anyone knows, I know Ryan looks a little younger. I know I'm trying to kind of follow what he's doing. I need to figure it out, Ryan.
I got to pull Ziggy in on this one. Ziggy, what do you think? Do you believe the fact that I'm actually younger than Laura?
For long answer short, no.
I love the Ziggy tidbit.
Yeah,
this is amazing
I
because
know.
We'll have to explain.
Ziggy's my favorite part of this podcast.
It's amazing, Ziggy. Yeah. You've been awesome, and I love it. But Ryan, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Ryan never praises me, so this is a nice change of pace.
I love it so much.
Oh, man.
No, that's hilarious. I love this. I might try and steal this for my podcast. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Speaking of your podcast, so just to jump ship just for a minute.
Sure.
So I think, as I mentioned, Michael and I attended the Black Tie and Boots Gala last night, and I ran into a friend of mine in the lobby who said that she had just done your podcast.
Yes.
And that I came up in her podcast. So I'm going to have to bring up Emily in this podcast.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You have to text her now that
she's in our podcast.
What are you going to say about her?
I don't know. What did she say about me?
She actually said she loved you. She just sung her praises. Now Ryan's just even more famous, just getting his word out there. Ryan did come on my podcast. If you want to check out the episode.
You should check that one out.
Yes. Our podcast is called Bills and Business. And so I bring on legislators, lobbyists, customers of ours, and business leaders too. So, and we talk a lot about AI or, things impacting them in the legislature. But I will say, Ryan, thank you for the kind words.
Yeah.
You're very, very kind, and I appreciate all of it. You really believed in me, and I learned so much from you. So.
You're, like I said, you're going places, so it made it really easy. All I had to do was point you in the direction and wind you up and watch you go. And a little bit like Emily, except sometimes Emily, I love Emily, but I don't think if you wound her up and pointed in a direction, you might find her in a totally different place.
Oh, yeah, she's gonna love watching this one.
Yeah. All right, so that's for you, Emily, returning the favor. Anyway, so AI is a big issue this session.
Yes.
In fact, I was just talking to a Senate office that has a bill that says you can't do AI for claims in health, and the hospitals love it. The health plans don't like it. There's similar stuff that would likely affect the way claims are handled in the workers' comp arena as well, although nothing's technically been filed, but we're just keeping an eye on it. So when you're seeing from your stuff, I'm sure you're watching the AI legislation.
For sure.
Yeah. Anything that would affect you guys and how you operate?
I think the biggest thing for us to watch that's really exciting is we have all of this discussion on the federal level of DOGE, the DOGE committee that started also in Texas. So we now essentially, our software is software for government efficiency, right? We have government agencies using it. We have staff in the legislature using it. The governor's office of Texas is using us. So it's very exciting to see the workflows and things that they need the most help with and to make them the most efficient and save them the most time.
Yeah.
So definitely it's actually a very exciting time for us to be in this space, because I think state level and federal level, what I've seen so far is they want to automate this stuff. Anything that you can consider a time waster is something you want to automate. And I'll give an example. So when I worked with you, one of the best tests you showed me, and as I'm sure everybody at ARAWC knows, you watch a lot of testimony and you see what people say for and against, you prepare your debates, you can look back at past sessions to identify what witnesses have said for and against so that you can have really good arguments. It's a lot of heavy research, and watching 10-hour videos is not really possible. But we did it, right? We stayed up late, we did a lot of hard work. Yep. And one of the tasks you had me do was go find when Representative Todd Hunter said this in this session.
Yeah.
And
I remember that specific assignment, actually.
I do. And it was a pivotal moment for me.
His floor speech, yep.
Because I thought, okay, this is the worst part of my job. I do not like doing this. How on earth could this, I was very into sci-fi and thought, okay, at some point this will be automated. Like I'll be able to figure this out. And you timed me to find the exact point in the testimony. And I did, and it took me 45 minutes or something. And you said, that's actually pretty good. And I thought, that's not efficient at all. And also, that's not transparent. That's not a transparent government that we have if it takes 45 minutes to go find when one person spoke. So obviously, one of our goals is to, be able to say in a really easy query, bring up all the times Representative Shaheen talked about AI. Bring up all the times Todd Hunter talked about B and C, talked about energy, talked about whatever area. And the AI will be able to find those moments. So that's something that is really exciting to me, in that finding efficiency and like speed of getting things done so you can be more productive. So I'm finding everything's very pro AI right now. Everything's very pro innovation. Let's find new ways. I think it's an uncertain time for everyone because AI is moving so fast. I think the U.S. as a whole has kind of gotten on the board of, okay, we're going to use USAI. We want to be secure with our data, put safeguards around it, but also be pro-business. And there's going to be so many new businesses that start utilizing AI. Every industry is impacted. So I think it's something to watch. But I think the ways that, the AI committee, the DOGE committee are approaching things is very much How can we make things more efficient and streamline and save and cut costs using AI? So I do see it as a really good opportune time. Obviously, we just have to keep our messaging and on point of what we do and let people know that. But it's exciting.
It's a great product, honestly.
Thank you.
If for the members of ARAWC and others that are watching this, if you have a government relations team or you have a hired gun lobbyist or both, highly recommend looking at Laura's product, USLege.ai. I use it all the time. In fact, as you were talking, it reminded me, well, maybe Laura is kind of still my lobby assistant in a way. I've got an example. So I had a client that was in town. This is actually in the interim. This wasn't even in the throes of session, but there, towards the end of last year, all the committees were desperately trying to get their hearings in so that they could get their interim charges and studies out the door so that they could complete those assignments. So there was a lot of hearings, particularly in the Senate, in the same week. So it kind of was like a little mini preview of session. And one day I had a client in town who was going to speak at the Senate Health and Human Services Committee, which was on a Wednesday. And so I believe it was a Wednesday. And so we had him, I was walking him around from the offices on the Tuesday before, kind of here's what he's going to say tomorrow. And literally that morning I'm walking by a committee hearing and someone comes out and says, Ryan, do you still represent a port? And I said, yes. They're like, well, the ports are getting blown up in here right now. You may want to come in and see what that's about. And of course I've got my healthcare guy with me. So I'm like, well, I can't just put him on this bench.
Right.
So I said, okay, thank you for the heads up. And then we keep walking around. And a couple hours later, someone comes out of a different hearing. Ryan, do you have a rock quarry still? I said, yeah. They're like, oh, well, the quarries are getting, I was like, come on. And so there's two different hearings, which I could not attend either because I had a client in town that I was shepherding through the halls. And Michael, this is what I mean about you guys coming in town and us shepherding you through the halls. We talked about this last night. So I could not attend either of those hearings or do anything. And so in the past, that would have meant me being up all night watching those two hearings so that I could see what they said, in this case, about quarries and about ports. But you and your technology, I literally went home, searched those terms, found it, was able to clip it, and then summarize it in 15, 20 minutes. I had the whole thing.
Great.
And then I was able to go talk to those offices while my guy was waiting to testify the next day. Everything ended up being fine. Just needed a little explanation. No problem. Saved me probably 8 to 10 hours worth of work right there. So in the past, I would have said, Laura, I need you to go sit in the Natural Resources Committee all day while I go walk around him. And you don't have to do that either.
And here's the thing too, I would not have done it well. And that's what AI does really effectively, I think, is when you're in those binds, there's 18 hearings going on at once. You can't be at all of them. And you don't know when someone's going to bring up your client. Say ARAWC comes up in a hearing you're not even watching. You want to go find that out. And you can't find that out for a couple of days until the video is posted and it's too late. You've already been shot down or had shots fired at you.
Yeah.
So another piece that I was just terrible at is if there's a subject matter that you're not an expert on and you send someone to that hearing, they're not going to even know what notes to take, let alone be able to keep up with taking the notes. And I noticed this for doing bad notes. I was like, what am I even trying to listen for this client, not having the context? So I think that's what AI can do really well, is point you in the right direction. It's not going to do your work for you. It can do a lot, but it can point you in the direction of, oh, this actually may impact this issue. If you give it context, you say, okay, represent the ports. How did this hearing impact me? Boom, you can find out immediately what actually happened versus having someone spend 8 hours that could have been better used. And that's what actually excites me the most, I think, about AI, is it's actually going to make us more human, because all of the skills that
I haven't heard this argument before. I'm curious.
Yes, all the skills that I was using for going and doing, bad research or a poor summary, my skill set could have been better used in person, discussing something, negotiating or influencing, or talking to a legislator or meeting someone, relationship building. Those are what actually move the needle and make things happen. But I needed to know all that information to get there. So what I see is, okay, well, I can take 8 to 10 hours off your plate so that you can go do that more. You can go to more galas and bring clients and meet the people they need to meet.
Honestly, Laura, I'd rather have you go to the galas.
Hey, I'll come. Let me know. I'll definitely come to the galas. I've not gone to as many galas lately as I want. I've been very heads down. So, hey, invite me anytime.
Okay. No, I meant like in my place. Like I was just complaining to Ziggy here before we started that it seems like I've got at least one every night. And so I was actually joking with Michael at the Black Tie and Boots yesterday that watch out in about 2 minutes. Dan Patrick is going to tell a joke about how nobody at Walmart knows who these legislators are and nobody cares, but in the building, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, because I've heard the same speech 3 times in the last week. And so sure enough, like 5 minutes after I say that, here comes Lieutenant Governor. And when you go to Walmart 2 blocks north of here, Michael looks at me like, I was like, no. It just means I go to too many galas.
I can confirm Ryan's told me that story 3 times today.
Well, Ziggy knows I'd like to take my favorite stories and retell them. Similar to Dan Patrick and his Walmart story. I think we all just kind of get used to it.
My favorite part is Ryan, he's a comedian, as everyone knows. So when you get a good joke, you got to tell me a few times. And I do laugh. So it works.
That was my favorite trait of yours, Laura, when you worked with me, was no matter how bad my joke was, you were laughing.
Having a good sense of humor, I think, is so crucial, but also having the same sense of humor is really helpful in an office environment.
Yeah.
It makes things easier, doesn't it? So
it absolutely does.
Yes.
And we forget who we tell the stories to because, I probably meet with 50, 60 people a day in the building. Wow. So you forget who you've told the stories to. So sometimes you probably do tell the same story to the same person 5 times.
Are they laughing though?
That's usually a good sign, like you've told the story if they're not laughing the second or third time.
Yep.
But then there's sometimes you tell a story that you think you've already told somebody, and they're like, "I've never heard that." So sometimes it's just hard to keep some of that side stuff straight. But that was one of your biggest talents, was you were able to keep all of that stuff straight.
Ryan, I've heard this one.
Yeah. They don't think this one's funny, right? Move on to the next one. So, So that human element, to your point, though, is very much needed, right? I mean, that is what makes that building work. I mean, there are some lobbyists that just do phone calls or emails, and I'm like, you're not moving the needle. Like, you have to be in their offices, talking to them, following up. It's very much a relationship business.
It's the same around the world. Yeah. Like every single legislature in the world that I know of, you have to be in person, meeting with the people and telling your story, sharing your testimony, or influencing in some way. So, yeah, I think that's what I'm excited about, getting people back to what they enjoy doing in this field. And then helping those in the research side, maybe just being able to do 100 times the research they ever could before. Yeah. So, yeah, it's an exciting time for sure.
Yeah. The AI, I was able to use it. Was last session, I'll give a great example. I had an opponent on a bill, was walking around shopping talking points the day before the bill was up in hearing. And one of those was to cite a study that basically said that my bill is a bad idea. So I was able to grab those talking points. I had a friendly office give me their talking points, went home, pulled up the study, and it actually said that my bill was a great idea. And so then I asked AI, like, are there any other studies on this topic out there, and what are their conclusions? And it found 12 other studies, gave me the studies, the citations, and the conclusions that supported my bill. It took 10 minutes, and I had 2 pages worth of data that proved my point. And I looked up to ensure that the studies were accurate. You still have to double check it.
You do, for sure.
But I walked that around, and that committee was so upset that my opposition on the bill lied to them, that they all voted for the bill, and half of them signed on as joint authors.
Oh,
so
wow.
we voted it out of the committee that day, 9-0. So that was a huge help. Without AI, I would have never had the time or the bandwidth to go and have those studies and find the study that proved that he was wrong. So it is an absolute game changer, just as far as efficient use of time. But yeah, you still have to do the work. I mean, you still have to go run around, have the relationships to have people that will hand you those talking points. But so I like your approach to it, where there's the human element's going to make you more human, and it's going to make the back end it's just a very useful tool if you know how to use it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
I know you're one of my first early subscribers and supporters, and I appreciate it because it's helpful for feedback. AI is always changing and developing too, so we're constantly getting feedback from people, which is so exciting, and thinking of all the new fun things we can do and build that would make it even faster and better. And then you can spend more time with your family, working or on a beach, whatever you want to do. But our goal is just to make you have maybe work-life balance or just be the best lobbyist in town.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, there's no work-life balance during session. And probably not for
Yeah.
you guys either, because you're keeping track of all of us. So we were just talking before, I got a kick out of it. I'm kind of glad you didn't quite use the words, but you got it out to our audience, like how you got the idea. But I was at your rollout at the Texas Association of Business, and somebody asked you how you got the idea for USLege. And I almost fell over laughing because you said, I essentially took all the jobs that Ryan told me to do that I didn't want to do and trained AI to do it. I thought that is exactly what you did, and it works great. So I asked you beforehand if you're still officing right over here with the Texas Association of Business, and you said no. And what you told me where you are is so cool. I wanted you to have an opportunity to share with everybody.
Sure. So we were in major startup mode for about a year and a half. We still are in startup mode, but essentially I was building this at my apartment, like, table. So we didn't even have a kitchen table. It's a really small 2-bedroom apartment. And so we actually grew the team, and then they started coming into the apartment every day. And that just got a little chaotic, and we outgrew it. So we're now at a house about 4 minutes from the Capitol, which is awesome. But we live there and work there. So I live there. My team comes in every day, but it's just me living there. I don't have roommates of the team, but it's very cool.
Essentially, it's a lot like that show Silicon Valley.
Oh, yeah.
What do they call it? An incubator? Is that is that the term in Silicon Valley for where you have all of the tech people in one place to like build out the deal?
The incubator is hilarious. The incubator is essentially like somebody who says, okay, you can have my resources, live in the one in Silicon Valley, live in my place, and you all start your own companies, and I'll own a percentage of your companies. And then they all start different ones. But then when they did the startup, then they're all sitting at one table coding and all that. So I find a lot of very amusing parables from that show, for sure. It's very similar. But it's, full on startup mode. I've got a really excited team, though. I know you've met Kush.
Yeah.
I think you've met
Did Kush
James.
buy the boots? I
heard about this. That's what we talked about with Emily. She was talking about giving him tips on fashion because he moved from California to Texas, loves Texas. But he said, can I wear boots every day? And I went, yes. He said, can I wear a hat? And he's so excited to do it. So thanks for the tips.
Yes. So Lucchese, I didn't give him the Lucchese one. So I think for most of you that know me, you know that I wear the state of Texas logo boots. And
Yes.
Lucchese and Fenolio are two different boot makers that come to the Capitol every session. And they post up for 3 days, and you can go by when you're free and pick out everything on a custom pair of boots, from the type of leather to the type of toe to the heel. Just for anybody watching, if you're curious, I like a snip toe with a roper heel.
I like a snip toe too.
Yeah, right? Thank you.
That's my favorite.
We'll find a way to show the boots on the camera at some point. But for now, it's not relevant to the conversation.
Show 'em, bring them up.
No, I don't really want to put my foot over my head, but thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for that suggestion, Laura. Always count on you. You've always got my back, you know? But Kush was talking about this, one of your coders, right?
So he's actually a product manager. So he's like the engineering whisperer.
Okay.
So say anything, I'm the domain expert here, the political kind of person, and then our customers are mostly political professionals. So he translates the terms, like layman's terms, into here's what we need to build out for the engineering team.
Okay. So we were talking, and he wanted a pair of boots. So I sent him the link for the days that I think it was Fenoglio was going to be in the Capitol.
It's on was on our calendar.
I hope he went.
I need to ask him today.
Ask him. I got a pair of Fenoglio. I never bought Fenoglio.
I've never bought
always
Fenoglios.
had Lucchese's.
Do you like the?
I don't know yet. I just ordered them like 2 weeks ago.
Did they show you some samples?
Yeah. Everyone I talked to said, and I'm no way getting paid by Fenoglio for this, but everyone I talked to said that they're just as comfortable as the Lucchese's. Their price point is a little bit lower, and they have a kind of this different sole on them. It's like kind of a rubbery sole rather than a leather that is supposed to last a lot longer. I'm always having to get my boots resoled.
Sure.
So I figured I'd give them a shot. It was pretty funny. Representative Gerties, who I worked for Rick Perry with way back in the day, he's getting ready to leave for the weekend. He's got his kids in his office. He's already into a fishing shirt and jeans and boots. And as I'm walking by, and somehow we got talking about this, and he says, "Did you get a pair of the Fenolios?" And I said, "Yeah, I've never had them before." He goes, "Tell me you got the rubber sole." And this guy knows cowboy boots. Okay. So I was like, "I did actually." He says, "You're going to love it." So I'll report back. We'll have you on in about 6 months when the boots get here.
That sounds great.
I'll give you the full report. But I figured if you have guys that live in jeans and boots saying that these are good boots.
Yeah. Oh, that's the best.
I feel like that's a good sign. Sure. So I hope Kush got them. In fact, you guys should get your own USLege.ai boots.
We're actually talking about, oh yeah, that would be wild. With the colors teal. We're talking about getting some swag though, for sure. Like actually slides to wear around the house/office.
Slides?
Or like little shoes.
Oh.
That would be kind of funny. Or just like cups. We'll see. We'll see what we end up getting.
Okay. I'll be very curious to see what you come up with.
I'll send you some swag pics. We'll give some away. Yeah. Right now we actually have pins. So little USLege pins, our team wears in the Capitol. So
they do?
How to meet them. So we have Luke and Caroline, and then we have 2 more people coming on the next week or so as it's picking up. And they'll wear their little pins, and if you see them on the floor, you can wave them down and they'll get stuff for you.
Okay. Yeah. That's good to know. I'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
That's a nice tip. Because you can't talk about what state you're going into. But can you talk about the expansion and your growth and how quickly you're building out?
Sure. It's been pretty astronomical. So where we are now, we're in 0.1% of startup growth of any startup. So it's kind of insane because also we started off bootstrapped. So bootstrapped, essentially, for those who don't know the term, means zero money. So we didn't pay ourselves anything. Me, my 2 co-founders, so we've got 2 of them, and one is our CTO and head of engineering, who we met essentially on like a founder dating app. So I'm not technical, my other co-founder is not technical, and so we went on this adventure. It's a startup incubator, Y Combinator, that actually kind of facilitates this, and interviewed a lot of people. And I remember seeing Ben's resume for the first time, and I said, I haven't even met him. I think this is the guy. And we talked to so many people. He'd been interviewing people for 3-4 months, all the time, constantly, to find a good founder to work with. And he's very much, hey, I'm the engineer. I don't have any ideas, but I want to build something. He'd worked at multiple billion-dollar startups and was ready to go on his own. And we just loved him and really got along well with him. But one of the qualities he put on his kind of resume was, no one on my team's ever left my team. And he managed a huge team. And that was actually a really cool thing because I thought, people like him. They like his management. They like his style. And we just really hit it off. So he's been our head of engineering from the beginning. And then my other co-founder is my husband and co-founder. He is the go-to-market strategy startup guy for 8 years, was in Silicon Valley, and so did all of that. So the 3 of us feel like we're the dream team, and we really started with interviewing customers. That was the biggest piece to this. These are our prospective customers. I have a hypothesis, but I know that it might not be correct. So I want to confirm it, right? I know that these were my issues, but I want to make sure that we're going to build something that people want and a product people want. So we did that for about 6 months, and I was still working in the Senate at the time. And got a lot of amazing feedback, and there was just such excitement for developing something new that hadn't been done before, and replacing all existing systems, but going far deeper than that. And so got some really great early supporters, and then launched a product in March. Ben, our CTO, has built 95% of the app on his own, and about October of this year is when we actually started hiring out. So that's now we're at 7 developers full-time. We have 15 full-time employees, and we were profitable, right, within the first year, which is also insane. And we didn't have to pivot. So most startups have an idea and then it's wrong, or have something going on. And I think we've gotten to that product market fit position. 95% of the meetings that we have close. That is insane. And I'm so excited that we've really hit the nail on the head with product.
Well, it's because you know the subject matter. I mean, you know what people like me need from the product because you've done it. That's right.
Definitely helped. But I will say, just talking to customers, that is the best thing we can possibly do, and continuing that relationship, because there's new things that pop up and new things people think of, like, ooh, I don't like doing this. Is there a way to automate this potentially? And so now, a lot of the basics are down. We're still building out a lot, but the AI agents are what I'm really excited about. And those who don't know AI agents, they are essentially bots that can do complete workflows for you. So a non-political example would be one button to book a flight. It can look at your calendar. It can look at all the prices. It can find you the cheapest flight. It can do all the research, and it books it using your card immediately, right? That's a really cool use case for an AI agent. Think of everything done for you immediately. So instead of having to go and research, it's all going to populate on your dashboard for you. So this is futuristic, of course, but this is what we're developing. So the AI is able to understand all of your clients and then pick all the different things that are relevant that are happening in the legislature, whether that's bills or agency meetings or committee hearings, and show you a dashboard of everything you need to know so you don't miss anything, and alert you if something crazy happens that would impact you greatly. So it has really deep context and understanding of ARAWC's priorities.
It does.
And then would be able to say, here's all the things happening right now. You don't even have to do research to find out.
Yeah, it actually kind of wants me to. I kind of want to pull up the ARAWC dashboard that I have for ARAWC.
Sure.
At USLege, because it's amazing. You have the AI tool. It's like, okay, so we got to find these 5 things that can affect them, and then you got your bill track list, and then it takes all of that information, and then it says it suggests bills that you may want to think about tracking. And sometimes you're like, no, there's a reason I'm not tracking that.
Sure.
And sometimes you're like, you know what? That could potentially, if somebody amended into that thing, have an impact. So yeah, I may as well just keep an eye on it and add it to the bill track. So, but yes, ARAWC, you do have a dashboard and a track on USLege, and the AI is helping me track y'all stuff. And we may have a bill that we're going to drop here pretty soon that's going to be really helpful for ARAWC, and I'm going to use your AI tool to help me move it around.
I hope so.
One thing that would be really cool, and I don't mean to just throw this on you, is
That's
something
okay,
that y'all should look at.
Yeah.
But one of the largest frustrations that everyone is having is our legislative council, the agency that's supposed to draft bills, is way behind. I had a bill come back last week that I'd submitted to them in October. And I've still got 2 or 3 bill drafts on some of my key things, ARAWC's issue being one of them, still in Ledge Council. And Jason Isaac, former state rep, last night told me, once AI starts drafting bills, they're not going to need Ledge Council anymore. And I was like, it's not that far away from being able to draft bills. And it takes it 30 seconds.
Yep.
And the Ledge Council will take months and get it wrong. So I never thought about that before, but holy cow, what a time saver that would be. It would also flood the system with bills, though, right? Which is probably why Ledge Council takes so long on conspiracy tinfoil hat stuff, because if everybody could just think of an idea and then 30 seconds later have a bill draft, we're going to see a lot more bills being filed, I think.
I found in session, it was when I was working for a senator, that was actually kind of what I used Ledge Council for, was kind of an AI. Like, I'm not a lawyer, so I would write into it was like a prompt for me, please write me a bill that's about this, this, and this. And I would send it to Ledge Council with very little understanding of what I wanted it to actually be. I think the big way, and we're definitely working on this.
Awesome.
Some things I can't say too much, but we're definitely on this, and it's an exciting space. But I think the big piece is saving people time, in that what an issue I saw last session, there would be 3 bills filed, different members, the same subject matter, but different sections of code affected. So 3 different attorneys had spent their hard hours and long hours writing 3 different versions of the same bill. That we can totally cut. And if there's only so many ideas, if there's people submitting 30,000 bill requests, there's going to be duplicates. Well, being able to identify those duplicates and immediately say, this is a duplicate, talk to each other, would also save huge amounts of time. And then as long as the AI has all the understanding of all the sections of code, all the statutes and everything, then it should be able to do it pretty effectively as a first pass, and then have someone review it for final draft.
Yes.
So I definitely think there's some really exciting use cases. And, anybody who's not adopting this type of technology is going to get left behind. And that's the big piece. Everybody's new to this because it's such a new space, but everybody needs to start utilizing it in some way, or they're going to be completely left behind. That's why I'm such a big proponent of teaching this in schools and at a young age, because other states will be doing it. Texas needs to lead the way on that. So we have a really engaged and educated workforce so that they know how to utilize these things in a smart and effective way. I'd much rather hire somebody who knew all the different tools they could potentially use and be so much more effective and get so much more done than somebody who, didn't know how to utilize it in the right way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exciting stuff.
Yes. I love to chat about it. I get excited for sure.
Yeah. I'm just happy for you, Laura. You're doing a great job. It's a great product. It's very beneficial. And you're right. I mean, honestly, if you're not using your product, like that would have taken me, just that one deal I was telling you about back in the interim, that would have taken me a day and a half. And by the time I'm done figuring that out, what did I miss in the day and a half that it took me to go back on that one? And so, if you don't have your tool, you're just chasing your tail is all you're doing, and just wasting so much time. So thank you for the product that you're bringing to us. And I can't wait to see all the developments and the different things that you add on. And every time I turn around, you've got some new feature that you've added to it. So it's going to be really fun to watch you continue to grow.
Have you used Billy yet?
I have not used Billy. I've seen Billy on my deal. You want to tell everybody what Billy is?
I just get a kick out of Billy so much because one of our teammates brought this up, and I just thought this was just beautiful and delightful. So
I'm surprised it wasn't Bill A, like AY, like partay.
Inside joke, that one. We'll get into that maybe. It was. So Bill E is our AI assistant. Haha. On the app, and so he's got a cute little. He's a little happy robot. And he answers all your questions, but really what he does is brings it to our attention. So if you are in our app, we're very big on customer service and we want to fix things right away. So if there's a bug, you can report it immediately to Billy, or you can ask Billy for help and then one of our teammates will come on live. So it's like a live chat assistant. But yes, I do get a kick out of the name, and we will have Bill Analyzer soon.
You need a Billy t-shirt.
I think so. His little pictures,
yeah.
Hilarious. So that was very
But that's
cute.
a great example of like a new function that you've just recently added, and you're constantly adding and innovating. So thanks and happy for you. And,
Thank you. Well, you taught me so much, Ryan. I learned it all working with you, and has had so much fun doing it. So I do miss a lot of it, and I do miss working with you. But it's good to work with you in this capacity now too. So
it's not as much fun though.
Yeah.
I don't
come
know
work with me. You keep saying to come work with me.
No. I don't need to go to your house with a bunch of coders and engineers. I'm good right where I am. You're more than welcome to come to my office. It's 2 blocks away.
I know.
It's, on Congress Avenue, right there. So you should actually come by at some point.
I will.
Say hi. But all right.
I did just want to hop on here and say, Laura, I'm a big fan of your theme song. I'm just a Billy. So it's, top-notch work.
Thank you, Ziggy. Okay, when Ryan first told me your name was Ziggy, I said that's actually the name of my stuffed animal when I was a kid. So.
Well, here I am, reincarnated.
Whoa! Real life, Ziggy.
Ziggy is your stuffed animal from childhood?
Yeah, Ziggy the zebra.
Reincarnated.
That is actually, Ziggy, you have the personality I imagine Ziggy to have, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and thank all of you for indulging us with all of this, especially with the new information about Ziggy, which we're just scratching the surface on. And thank you, Laura, for being here today. I am so proud and happy for you. The product is incredible. For those of you that have any arm of your organization that does anything with the legislature, highly recommend If you're in other states, please give Laura a call. I think she said she's getting ready to expand, but she won't tell us where just yet. But there may be some opportunities there for both of you. And I know that she's going to continue to save me time as we barrel through the next 3 months of session until June 2nd when we finally sine die. Hopefully we won't have any specials this session, knock on wood.
Yep.
But in the meantime, I'll keep you guys updated as we roll along with everything. The bill filing deadline is on the 14th, so we have essentially 2 weeks to get that bill back from Ledge Council, or we're going to have to file a non-Ledge Council version anyway. And then we're really going to start ramping up, and that's when your services are going to be even more helpful. So thanks again, Laura, for taking the time. Thank you, Ziggy, as always, for jumping in there. Thank you guys for watching us. It's always a pleasure to bring you great information, and we really appreciate you watching us on Forecasting Success. Until next time, have a good one.